Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on the M3. I'm going to be doing the serpentine belt plus the pulleys today, hopefully. But the main thing today, I got to get this car flipped around and I want to start disassembling some things. It's not a huge job, but it's also not a small job. And normally I work on my car on a Friday where I have all day. In this case, it's after work. I don't really have all day. I don't have that much daylight, but I'm going to try and get as much done as I can. Anyways, my plan today is to get some of that stuff taken care of. I also have a cabin air filter to do, and I ordered some 15 mil spacers for the rear. Actually, my goal is to put the 15s in the front and move the 10s to the back. Hopefully that is like perfect fitment, but 15 in the front might be too much. So anyways, let's get all this going and get things started. All right, I got the car flipped around. Front end is here. Something I forgot to mention that I figured I'd let you guys know is that if you, let's see, I don't really know how to explain this because oil is kind of a muddy topic for the most part, because obviously oil viscosity depends on where you live, how cold it is, blah blah blah, your environment, what you're doing for the car, what the purpose of the build is, blah blah blah. But I would say for me, living in Northern California with temperatures never below 30 typically, 5W40 has been great. It has completely eliminated lifter tick, which is kind of awesome. I used to get lifter tick for the first few seconds, obviously, before whatever. However, oil viscosity works. Clearly 5W40 has been better than whatever was in this car previously. I don't know what was in this car previously. I don't know what the previous owner used. Like I said, last video is the first time I actually changed the oil in this car, only because I haven't put very many miles on it and I checked it frequently and it was fine. And when I dumped the oil looked really good. No metal shavings, nothing scary. So that was kind of like a weight off my shoulders. Not to say that I thought there was going to be, but you have that peace of mind, and now I can monitor it and maintain it myself, and now the sun's coming back out, so I'm fucking whitewashed. But anyways, that's what I'd like to say. If you live in NorCal or you just live in a similar environment, maybe consider switching to 5W40. Obviously, there's a lot of guys, a lot of M3 guys, a lot of S50 guys that swear by 10W60, I believe it is. And another rumor I heard about that is 𝙤𝙤𝙠𝙚 only makes that for those purists that stick to 10W60. I think 5W40 works just fine. I don't know all the logistics and all the science behind oil and oil viscosity and this and that and oil grade and what oil's best, but I use 𝙤𝙤𝙠𝙚 5W40 and it is eliminated lifter tick, and I don't know, better than lifter tick. So that's something I'd like to throw in there. Anyways, let's get this car jacked up. It's my favorite part. This is my least favorite part, is getting this stupid car jacked up. I'll say it once. Well, I'll say it again, because I say this every video, every time I jack this car up. I hate jacking these cars up. You can't really get it under the front cross member, especially with how low it is. Even on a stock car, I mean, it's not fun. And now I can't get it. I can't lift the rear from the diff, so it's like a pain in the ass. So anyways, I'm gonna skip this whole process of me doing this because there's plenty of videos on how to jack up an E36. I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. So if you need help with that, Menace makes a good video on that. But basically just don't fuck it up. I don't know. Alright, and just like that, car's all jacked up. I must say, that was probably my personal best on how fast I got this thing jacked up. Took about 2 minutes, which was nice, but it never gets less sketchy over time. In Harbor Freight we trust, because I don't know, jack stands are jack stands. As long as you got two that are secure, you can shake the car back and forth to put a jack underneath it just in case something falls. I guess you should be okay. I trust it. I probably shouldn't with the amount of times that I've jacked this car up. I swear I've jacked this car up more times than I've driven it, which makes me confident now that I got this thing under control. But just a general rule of thumb, make sure that you keep that jack under there just in case your Harbor Freight jack stands decide to, I don't know, break. So yeah. So I literally just broke my hood latch by pulling on it too hard, because I need to adjust the little springs that go into the hood. or that go into the car. So when you release it, I don't know, they're just, one's touching on one side. I gotta fix that. But anyways, I wanted to show you guys I got my, oh, look at that. Let's bring this ISO up a little bit so you guys can see it. That should be fine. Okay, so as you can see, I put these new grills in. I know it's a little bright, but I wanted to show you. You can see that there. This is how you secure them. Because these are 150 bucks, these OEM grills. Last thing you want to do is have them fall out. So you can secure them with zip ties just on the top there. If it's black, it's pretty inconspicuous. Nobody's really going to tell. And then I'll show you where they go routed. I mean, you'll find it out. There's holes here and there, and you can kind of just secure them, but what I do is secure them behind one of the actual grill parts, and it's pretty sturdy on top of them actually mounting. I mean, you just want to make sure they don't go anywhere. So that's kind of how I decided to mount those. I know it's not the best, it's not OEM or whatever, but I'd rather have them secured, so if they do decide to fall out, and which now they can't, if these weren't secured and they fall out, then you just lost 150 bucks in grills, so I'd rather just do that. And these fog lights are holding up pretty good. They have not rattled out. There's no water in them yet, but time will tell on that one. I'm not gonna pull the bumper off for this because I raised the car enough to get a creeper under there. And really I don't need a creeper for most of this, but it's gonna be nice when I have to go from the bottom to get that serpentine out. But let's start getting this stuff off. It's 2 screws for me, and in your case it might be more. But yeah, previous owner left me with 2 screws for this. So we're gonna start with this. You don't have to take this off, it's optional. I do wanna take this off because that's probably gonna get in the way. We gotta get in the clutch fan right here, so let's do that. All right, so I've yet to see if these are actually the belts. It comes with the AC. This is for your AC condenser, I believe, or I don't know what it's for your air conditioning. And this is just solely its purpose, just to power the air conditioning. So we have that belt, Continental belts, which is nice. You can pick this kit up at FCP for under 200 bucks. This is a serpentine. Then we have pulleys, so pulleys and tensioners, and then looks like new hardware for something. Pretty long bolt. I don't know what that's for. I have not briefed myself on a video on this, but I'm just going to start taking stuff off of the car that I know needs to come off and work on that clutch fan. And then, I mean, we don't need to worry about this until we get there, but I would like to at least get all the old stuff off tonight. Alright, so your first step, I know this is hard to see with the lighting, but your first step is to get that guy off. Super easy. You should have around 6 screws. I had 2 from the previous owner. And this guy, super easy. You can see there's a little flathead, and you'll find that in the engine bay. All you want to do is loosen that flathead up. You can kind of finagle this thing out. It's definitely going to help when you get into the engine bay. Let me show you why. And if you're wondering what that's for, as you can see, it's literally a duct, like a cooling duct for the alternator. I don't know why it's necessary. Mine actually broke. I ended up buying a new one, and that's what I've been using. I don't know why it's necessary. I don't think it is, but I mean, whatever. Anyways, now we have a little bit better access to the clutch fan. As you can see the little 32 nut down there. It's actually a reverse thread. So when you take a 30 mil small skinny wrench, let me show you. All right, so what you can get is these this clutch fan tool kit. Comes with a skinny 32 and a clutch fan. It just holds the nuts because the nuts are kind of oblong in a rectangular shape down there. And you want to hold them obviously for resistance, and this is kind of the easiest tool to get in there. You want to put it on those nuts, and then since this is reverse thread, right is loose, left is tight, so it's hard to explain. There's plenty of great videos on it. If this isn't DIY enough for you, there are better videos. I'll probably link somebody else's video on this, but this is what you need to get. I'm sure it can be done in a real hacky way if you have a wrench to sacrifice and some crazy method, but this is probably going to be your best bet. This is kind of just going to be worth it. It's 20 bucks and probably won't be the last time you use them, so you might as well pick them up. Alright, so I'm having trouble getting this clutch fan all the way out. I think I'm going to try and drop it from the bottom. I'm not sure yet. I'll keep trying it from the top, let you guys know what happens. Alright, as you can see, we got the fan clutch off. You just want to keep this thing with the nut down is what I read, so that's what I'm doing, leave the nut down. In retrospect, I probably should have just ordered a new fan clutch, just so it would be new, and I still might do that, but I need to drive this car this week, so I don't know. Anyways, you definitely need to get this shroud, at least be able to pull it up. So to do that, you just want to disconnect this line. You shouldn't have to hose clamp it or anything. I just put one of these on there, whatever. I moved the airbox out of the way. You don't really have to do that now that I look back. But learn from my mistakes. This is an unnecessary step so far. But now we have about as much room as we're going to get to work on this. So now it looks like it's time to actually start taking the belts off. Alright, so from my understanding, you need a 3/8 basically socket to an 8mm. I mean, you can do this with an Allen key, but obviously with tensioners you need the tension, so you want to be able to put this on a wrench. So we got a 3/8 here with an 8mm, and we're gonna go ahead and pull the AC belt off first. Alright, I've got both the belts off now. Here's the AC belt, here's the serpentine belt. Again, this is kind of one of those jobs that is ideal if you do it when the radiator's out. I mean, because it's definitely a pain in the ass to get to. It's really tight, especially if you got big hands, and it's just but anyways, you gotta pry these caps off. They're pretty easy. This one was kind of a bitch, but get a flathead in there, pry those off, so you can actually get the 8 in there to you know, crank that tensioner so you can get this belt off. The serpentine was kind of hard. I mean, I'd assume because it's got so much more going on than this. This is not much going on. I inspected the belts. It's not gonna pick up on video, but they're not too bad. I'm also not great at inspecting belts, because last time looked fine to me, but it was definitely cracked and stuff. But yeah, it's hard to tell. There's little cracks. I mean, they're relatively new. They're not like about to fall off, snap, or whatever. But it is nice to just change them anyways. So we're gonna pull the pulleys off now. So I'm literally just referencing Menace's video here, and I started with the idler pulley, pulled that out, and then this is actually for the tensioner. So now I'm gonna go get the 3 bolts. They're 13s, there's 3 of them, and get the tensioner out, because we have a new tensioner. So, or I believe we have a new tensioner. I haven't checked, I'm pretty sure we do. But anyways. Alright, so the good news is I can say we kind of reached the halfway point here. We got the idler pulley off. We got, this tensioner was kind of the biggest one. Make sure you don't mix up your bolts. Not that you will, because all the lengths kind of just, according to the depth of the pulley. I don't know how to explain it. But this piston's fried anyways. It's super gross. I'm stoked that I'm changing it out, but it's definitely a pain in the ass. This is never a fun job. And unfortunately, it's not one of those jobs that you can kind of do from the bottom or for the top. Like, not one of them isn't easier, so you just have to take your pick. Do you like laying on your back, or do you like leaning over way down into the engine bay? It's kind of up to you. But anyways, this is what we're working with, and we're kind of halfway. I kind of want to just start putting some stuff back on. Alright, one last thing here before I throw this in. As you can see, this is the old one, and luckily this is a whole setup, so we don't have to take this guy apart. Here's the new one. I'm getting it all gross, but I'm going to slap this guy back in here. Obviously just follow the orientation of the bolts where they go. Just make sure that you're not using the wrong one. The last thing you want to do is use the wrong bolt size, use a longer one and a shorter thread, vice versa. That is something you don't want to do, because that's not one of those things that's easily irreversible. So definitely be cautious of that. It's pretty foolproof, but it could still happen, so be cautious. I'm going to put this guy in, because that's, honestly, I'm going to put this in with the new pulleys, and I might call it a night, or depending on how I feel, I might just get the whole thing going, or at least replace everything, so all I have to do tomorrow is put that belt in, and then I can button everything up. Alright, so I've now put the idler pulley, the tensioner, and the actual tensioner pulley back on, so these are good to be thrown out. This came with a new bolt as well, so we don't need to reuse that bolt. It's pretty simple. There's a little raised nub there that needs to go in line. You'll see it. There's a little indent for that to go, so that stays in place so the whole thing doesn't spin freely. But yeah, those are all in. So now I think I'm gonna attempt to put this belt on, but first I'm gonna clean all the pulleys off with like some belt cleaner. I guess brake cleaner, doesn't really matter. But I'm gonna clean all those off, and then maybe I'll put the belt on, as depending on how long it takes me, but hopefully I can just knock that out. And then all we have left to do is this guy, which is just the little hydraulic It's just like a little hydraulic piece for the AC belt. So it's basically just a tensioner piece. So this is super easy, saving the easiest for last, and then obviously the AC pump is super easy. But the serpentine, we're like so close to the finish line. I just need to wipe these down, put the belt on, we're good. And then I can put this on, and we're good. And then if I want to, I can button the whole thing up and put the car on the ground. I don't know if I'll do that tonight. It shouldn't, depending on how long it takes me, because I gotta put that clutch fan back on, and you know, getting that, finagling that whole thing in might be a little frustrating, but we'll see. It is, let's see, what time is it? It is 6:57. Maybe if I can finish this, I think I'm gonna call it quits around 7:30. So I'm gonna get to work. All right, so I know it's gonna be hard to see, but I want to show you guys this, just so you know I didn't do all this work not to show you guys how to do some of it. So anyways, here's the new AC belt. You can see there from that AC condenser pulley, and then it goes to the crank. And obviously this is the AC belt, the one in front, and then the one behind it is the serpentine. It goes all the way up there. The tensioner, new tensioners up there, 2 new idler pulleys. The new piston here, the new belts. I'd say that's a success. Alright, so this here, just so everybody knows, if you are referencing this for some kind of video, the top is here. So when this is on the tensioner, make sure, obviously you want to unbolt the bottom and the other 2 bolts for the tensioner, but make sure you just crack this one loose up top, because this isn't, the top bolt isn't required to get the tensioner off, but this bolt is required to get it off of the tensioner to get this piston off. And you're gonna have a really tough time without it being mounted to something, or I guess stick it in a vise, whatever, but make sure that's cracked loose. Other than that, the final thing I have to do is throw these caps back on and then put the clutch fan back on. I'm gonna do that tomorrow because all the hard work is done. It is 7:40, so I'm just gonna quickly do that, and we should be good. I'll be the first to say that I am thoroughly impressed with myself. I haven't done a job. I've done a serpentine belt on an E90, but I haven't done tensioners, pulleys, and I finished this in definitely at least half the time, if not lower, and I did tensioners and pulleys. Before it was just a belt. So, and this is a much tighter space to be working in. So, it feels good. It feels redeeming, and it feels good to know that experience pays off, and that is one thing that I will preach to everybody watching this video and my channel in general over and over and over again. There are some jobs that I'm not comfortable with, but it's something that eventually I'll just have to tackle and learn. That's why I done a serpentine belt before, and when I went into it initially for the E90, I was scared, and I didn't want to fuck it up. This one, I didn't want to fuck this up, but I was pretty confident going into it because I done something similar. So all I'm trying to say is just work on your car, work on your own car so you know how it works, and if something breaks, you're gonna know how to fix it. And that's the biggest thing I can preach to people is, obviously I'm a YouTube, whatever. I don't consider myself a mechanic, but if you, eventually you just pick up things easier, and things are a little easier to understand and grasp over time. I have no schooling, I have nothing like that. So just don't be afraid to work on your own car. But with that being said, I will catch up with you guys tomorrow, and I will throw this thing back together, and then I want to change the cabin air filter, and we will do some spacers. The fun stuff we'll save for last. Anyways, I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Alright, so it is the next day. All I got to do is clean this clutch fan up real quick. Put the clutch fan back on, put the shroud back on, air box, alternator, cooler thing. The engine bay should be done, and then I can put the car on the ground. We can change the cabin air filter and do spacers. So let's get that done. Alright, so I just finished getting the clutch fan back on, and obviously it's a little easier to put back on actually than taking it off, but that's because you got to pull this shroud anyways, and then the little push pins here for the shroud. Put this coolant line back in. The airbox was an unnecessary step, but it definitely makes getting that little alternator cooler thing out easier and putting it back in, so whatever. I'll just do that, plug the MAF back in, and then Cole is he's taking the cabin air filter out right now. So we're stoked about that. We will see how gross this filter is. Alright, unfortunately the 15s did not fit. So I thought I had 10s in the front, but I actually have 15s. Now I need 20s in the front and 10s in the rear. Or I think I'm just gonna squat this bitch and let all the rake out. So it's even. But yeah, this isn't working. We tried. So sad. Cole did the cabin air filter. I'm very stoked. I have not tested blower speed yet. But he's wiring in those corners because he did it really good last time, and I tried to wire them in and they're a little loose. But all this works. It didn't explode. The shroud didn't explode, nothing like that. So we're good. Oh wow, you can't see me. Alright, as you guys can hear, hopefully, this is a pretty sound engine now. See the serpentine belt going in there, clutch fan's fine, with no more noise. Very happy. This is a very, very sound engine. Sounds very good mechanically, I'm very stoked. Alright guys, you have seen it here. We have completed this full belt and tensioner accessory system. The whole drive system has been replaced is what I'm trying to say, and I'm very stoked that it went very smoothly. Not once have I ever had a job go this smoothly. And it's nice for peace of mind. The maintenance is nice to just have all that taken care of, and the most rewarding part about all of this is that squeak is gone. Whatever it was, whatever pulley it was, we fixed it, we figured it out, and since it was super inconsistent, I just thought that there was going to be no hope for that, and it wouldn't be as easy as a tensioner or a belt. I don't know what it ended up being because I didn't individually test everything. I don't think it was the belt because I tried CRC brake cleaner or belt conditioner on there, and that wasn't it. But there could have been an idler pulley or the other idler pulley. I don't know. Could have been a lot of things, and I'm glad it doesn't make that noise anymore. Anyways, next up for this car, I really want to do a good exhaust on this car. That's kind of my next mod. And then as in terms of maintenance, I want to do coil packs and definitely some spark plugs. So stay tuned for that. And also big shout out to Cole for doing the cabin air filter. It's not something I wanted to do, but he stopped by and he just took the job over himself. So I'm stoked on that because I didn't want to do that, and I'm stoked he did. If my phone lets me throw a picture, if the format matches up with Final Cut, I'll throw a picture up right now, and if not, too bad. But it was super dirty, it was super gross, and I'm just stoked we got that now because the blower is so much high speed and it blows so much more air. Other than that, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. We are almost at 500 subs. Just remember, I will be doing a build and price breakdown on the M3 for 500, so stay tuned for that and subscribe if you are not. So we can get that going. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.